What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Tim Sports Talk. And for a third straight week, we are talking to Sanchize405. How you doing today, Corey?
I'm doing good. Three times the charge. What did Lionel Richie say? Once, twice, three times a lady. Hey, we're feeling good up in here, buddy.
We are feeling good. It's always fun. Actually, technically, it's the fourth because you came on for the draft night, too.
That's right.
Yes,
right.
So this is 4 times in 3 weeks. That's scary.
Yes,
I'm not talking to you for 2 months. No, just kidding.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. What up, 4th and Inches podcast, and Kaylon Meeks in the chat. What is up, everybody? We're going to be talking draft, of course. That is what's going on today. Patrick West is here, and we talked a lot before the draft, but now we're here. And I think at one point you said that you were tired of this draft process anyway, so I'm sure you're feeling pretty good now that it's over.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad because now we can talk about people being on the field and practicing mini camps and all this stuff. That's what I look forward to.
Absolutely.
I'm done seeing like draft grades or they're falling down the board or they're rising up on the board. This is a reach. This was a quality value pick. At the end of the day, we don't know until these cats get on the field how they scheme them up and everything. It doesn't really matter. All these after draft grades, they're just a bunch of hooey, as like the old folks would like to say. I want to see what you can do with these football players. You drafted 8 football players in Washington. Let's see how you can get them on the football field and utilize their skill sets.
Awesome. Well, we'll certainly talk about each pick and what do we think about each one. But I guess there was an interesting takeaway beforehand, right, where Mayhew basically told everybody that we were going to be trading back. I feel like a lot of people didn't believe it, especially once Kyle Hamilton and Chris Olave were on the board. We brought them in for interviews. Were you surprised the moment the trade happened, especially with those two players on the board?
You know, Tim, I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised all at the same time because with Ron and them, Marty and Martin, expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, that is what I have come to realize. I don't know why every year I'm like, this makes sense. So they're going to go this way. It just does not make sense. And then this is their first full year together of scouting and understanding each other. So yeah, man, I'm like, wow, this is, it was shocking, but it wasn't shocking at the same time. I just, it's kind of interesting though. Throughout this whole process, it's like they've brushed Marty Herney back to the back corner office or something. Like we don't hear anything out of him. He's just there. It's Mayhew and Rivera for the most part.
That's true. You almost forget he's there.
Yeah,
it's very true.
He probably forgets that he's there too.
He's up there in age, I guess. Huh? Yeah, I wonder what his job is. You got to think. I guess it's his sole purpose to try to look for NFL free agents, and is that his process? And then this is Mayhew's more of the draft guy. But actually, wasn't Mayhew supposed to be the free agent dude? Now I'm drawing a blank on that one. But
yeah, I think Bill Polian's boy does something like with the pro personnel.
Chris Polian?
Yeah, Chris
Polian?
Yeah, I heard he's a D-bag, but that's another story for a different day, right?
Yeah,
I don't know I don't know if he's like senior director of player personnel or something like. I don't know.
And then you have Doug Williams in there too.
Man,
isn't he something?
Doug ain't doing nothing. Last time I saw Doug Williams, I took a picture with him. He was stuffing his face up there at the opening night thing that they did back last summer. I was like, Mr. Williams, got that video? That's right, young blood. Maybe take a picture. Like, you go on my Instagram and look at it, and you can tell he's stuffing his face, and he's like, man, get this camera out my face. I'm trying to eat I'm trying to eat these catfish nuggets right here. Remind me of the bayou.
Yep. So another similar question here then, and you said to expect the unexpected, but this was definitely surprising to me because I don't know if this is how I would have done it. The first 2 picks of this draft were not one of the top 30 visits at all. And Mayhew talked about how, well, we really just interviewed guys that we had questions about. So if we didn't have questions, we didn't bring you in. We felt comfortable there. But I feel like that's still also a missed opportunity that you could even get another look into a player, and especially when you're using such high draft capital. Did you find that surprising? Would you have done anything different in your mind, or do you think that actually is a good move? Hide your cards and don't let anybody see.
I think it's more like the gamesmanship, right? Of the whole thing. We thought that because we were talking, I think you and I even talked about it. We were like, they're the worst poker players in the world. Maybe they just hoodooed all of us into thinking that they didn't know what they were doing. And they already
the Daniel
had this
Negreanu's of
right.
the Washington of the NFL, right? Where
Yeah.
no poker face. He just does whatever, but yet still a great poker player.
And then Ron and them, they talk about this incoherent, it's like incoherent rambling, kind of like what I'm doing right now. But to me, it seems like we got played. Like it really does. I feel like I'm hoping that we got played because that's what it feels like. Like we just got played and like, yeah, y'all keep on thinking what you want to think. This is what we're really going to do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let's hop into these draft picks because we're going to do what we're going to do is definitely a mindset they had. And even Jahan Dotson was shocked that he went that high at pick 16. When he was interviewed after the fact, he was like, oh, I was expecting maybe late first at the earliest, early second. And he goes pick 16. Do you believe Rivera and company even believe they got the better player in Josh Dotson over a guy like Chris Olave? Like they did the trade back and they still got their dude that they may have even wanted to take at 11 over Olave, but they get the best of both worlds here? Or do you think it really was just the trade back capital and they think he is the worst player, but the added capital is worth it?
I think it's a combination of both. I think that is one of the players that they had. Probably they had a contingency plan if they traded back. And if you look at Josh whatever the heck his name is, Jahan Dotson.
Not Josh. Not Josh. We don't want Josh.
We don't want Josh. But Tim, when I looked at this guy, because when I was kind of reading a couple of things, and somebody got into it with me in the comments, but they're like, your resources are wrong. I was like, this is what they're saying, Chief. Like, I don't know how they're wrong, but that's because NFL.com, Pro Football Focus had a second round grade on him. So I think I trust those sources. I said, that seems like a reach to me. But then I went back and I read, and then I watched some of his tape. The kid can do it. I mean, you can get him. He had a couple of passes last year out of nowhere. So to me, it's like
throwing the football you're talking about, not catching, literally throwing the football. Yeah,
exactly. He's got some, like, you can do a lot of things with him. Now, my worry is Scott Turner competent enough to get this young man the ball in the right situation and scheme him up? Like, don't conform to what you think works all the time. Go with what actually works. Believe your eyes, not what you think. Because we saw against Dallas, right? And we saw on Monday Night Football, two of the biggest egregious things that he did last year was he started getting cute throwing the ball when they just could have ran it and went ugly with it. That kind of leads me to another point that we'll talk about in the third round pick. But at the end of the day, hindsight's 2020. I think Jahan Dotson, he's not the big physical receiver one, but if you play him right, I think he's going to be a problem for offenses next year, for defenses next year.
Yeah, he does have super talent, and he only had 2 drop passes this entire season. One of the best drop rates in college football throughout his entire career as well. He doesn't have the top end speed but at the same time, he kind of does. It's weird because he only ran a 4.43, which is only right to me. I ran a 5 foot forever. But like this, he did run a 20.8 200-yard dash apparently. So I guess the top end speed is there. It's a quickness thing with him, which is kind of odd or opposite of what you would think in a 5'10.5" receiver.
Let me ask you this, Tim. I know you're the one asking questions, but
you could ask me anything. It's good.
Yeah, right. If he didn't play for Penn State and not have a premier quarterback, I don't think Clifford was okay, but he's not the
The
Stroud
solid
kid.
college quarterback, nothing at the next level. Yeah.
Exactly. And Jahan Dotson really was the only thing on that offense that seemed like he was clicking. Now, if Jahan Dotson was on Ohio State, are we having the same conversation? Or we're like, hey, I didn't see anything where they were running Chris Olave out, throwing passes and everything, add another dimension to the game of trickeration. So, I'm not knocking Chris Olave. I'm just saying, as a devil's advocate, like, maybe these guys are very similar. Maybe Dotson, because he was in a slightly crappier situation offensively than Ohio State was. Maybe that's why. Because the move that he made, like, I know it was Maryland, but you throw on the tape of Maryland, dude was doing double move. It was like, I think they had a corner. They had the slot corner and maybe a linebacker, and he did a double move in between two of them because they were sitting there in the zone, and then he just ran past them and turned on the afterburners.
He faked the out and went up.
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I said, did they kind of watch it? I was like, these cats I was like, okay, they thought somebody else was responsible for it, but I was like,
there's another. I don't remember if it was the Maryland game or not, but he is pretty savvy with these route runs because he was running a post and he was running up the field and all he was doing was staring at the defender. And as soon as the defender turned his shoulder, because he was faking like he was going for the go route for the end zone, and as soon as the defender turned his head to like flip to now guard him to the outside, he immediately stuck at that point, went to the end zone, beautiful post route touchdown. So he is pretty savvy as a route runner. And to your comparison of like, okay, would he be even better at Ohio State? If you actually look at, I don't know if you have a chance to, with the game logs of similar opponents, their stats are actually pretty darn close.
Hello.
Yeah, like against Michigan State, they both had average games of like 6-7 catches, like around 60 to 80 yards. But then against Maryland, I think Olave had 2 touchdowns, but like 120 yards. And then what's his name, of course, went off with 200 plus. But they went off at similar times against similar opponents. But then, of course, one has CJ Stroud. The other one has Sean Clifford, like you alluded to.
And impressive, too. He knows where the back of the end zone is. Like, all those catches that he had, like, he knows where the out of bounds line is. It's not even like he's not hesitating. He's going for that ball. And, it was like 3 or 4 touchdowns I saw from him. I know a couple of them were up there at Penn State. I can't remember who it was against. But, and also, they ran him out against Ohio State up there at Columbus. They ran him out the Wildcat, and he ran a touchdown in. I'm like,
to the left where he dove in and reached for it. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. No, there is a lot of Ron's favorite, right? Player versatility.
Position flex. There you go.
Position flex. Yeah, exactly. There is a lot there that he has, and it'll be interesting how they use him, which I guess is, I'm not going to be negative right now. I'm just going to let's just keep going.
I loved your reaction though. I went back and watched it, and I think I even tagged it in there in my comment. I was like, "This is when Tim." I said, "Tim is going to have the breakaway." You were like, "No." I said, "Yep."
I woke up my neighborhood. I think you said,
he woke up I said, Tim woke up the whole neighborhood. Lord have mercy.
I was upset. I don't like first round receivers anyway, and then we didn't even get one. Get the one I was interested in if we took with Garrett Wilson, and at this point, we now take a guy that's not even in the conversation, and I'm just beside myself. But anyway, I do think he's a good player. A really good player, and he has a very good opportunity at the next level to be solid. So will he be a complete bust? Absolutely not, in my opinion. I just don't know if he'll live up to that 16th pick. But on to pick 47. So we already had taken our receiver. Of course, my favorite receiver on the board was George Pickens, but I knew we weren't going that direction since we already went Jahan. But there was a ton of linebackers on the board. There were some interesting offensive linemen that could maybe start at guard over Wes Schweitzer. There was the safety, Jaquan Brisker, that would be a starter instead of getting a Kyle Hamilton. Maybe we go Jaquan. And instead, we take a position that we already have 2 first-round starters at. and they played all for the same team. Now we go with the second round pick, Phidarian Mathis, defensive tackle, big boy, 6'4", 310 pounds. What was your reaction to this pick, and how do you feel about it now?
I liked it when they did it.
Oh,
and then I
okay.
looked at his draft stat. I was like, oh gosh, I said they kind of reached for this cat, right? And I still like it today, though. I'm like, but then I think about this from the grand scheme thing, and I learned a lot last year because my boy John Bates, one group had him as a 5th round talent, then somebody had him as undrafted, right? So I'm just like, they have a plan for this guy, and I think they were looking. This was not a pick that they were making for possibly this year. I think they were making for next year, so they have their assets covered going forward. You get a big body dude, and then you can actually have this guy. You can play him in goal line situation, short down, like these running backs, these offensive coordinators like Sirianni and Dayball and old Misogyny McCarthy. Misogyny over there. He likes to massage. They're going to think about running up the middle when you put Phidarian Mathis out there. And then the fact that the guy is a little bit older too, I think it speaks to a maturity thing. Like this is what I kind of started looking at. I say, well, let's peel the onion back, because there was a lot of things, there were a lot of tears about this guy. I think a lot of people hated this pick more than they hated John. I know you did more than they hated Jahan. I read the comment that you put on my video. I was like, I said, oh, sugar, this is not gonna be right. I didn't say sugar though. But I thought that this is it was a need. I know you don't necessarily draft for need, and I know there were other needs. Jaquan Brisker might have been good right there. Kobe Dean was still on the board at the time. But we heard he had that pec issue. And we don't know how severe that is. I hope he fails in Philadelphia just because it's the Eagles. But I'm okay with the pick. I liked it to a degree. I thought it was a little bit of reach, but when I thought about it, kind of sat back and like viewed the whole thing, I said, that's one less issue you're gonna have to worry about next year, especially if you let Deron Payne. To me, that says Deron Payne's going to be here throughout the duration of 2022 now.
Yes, I agree. There was an interesting part of, do we trade him in this draft? But I think once day 2 ended, it was done, right? Unless you're getting like a 5th this year and then a 3rd next year, and maybe you get something like that going on. But the likelihood of that happening was pretty low. It seemed like they wanted a rotational guy. I just didn't like it because we replaced a 5th round rotational guy now with a 2nd, as if we were desperate for that rotational. But it is what it is. And I feel like there is parts of me that feels like the needs that we had, they filled them with late rounders and then didn't fill the needs we had with early rounders when there was players available that could have filled them, which is what it's annoying to me. But
let me ask you this too, Tim. Just say this isn't fan Corey and fan Tim. Say we're in the war room, right?
Yes.
And I've got a young linebacker who may have gotten a raw deal last year. Got a couple of inexperienced linebackers. I got Cole Holcomb, right? Do I really want to add more youth to that, or do I want to add more of a veteran presence to get these guys in line? So that, and that's where and that's just a question. That's not saying that's what they did, but if it was me making that decision, I'd be like, well, we just drafted Jamin. Maybe we don't need to go in the 2nd round and draft another linebacker. And then we have Cole here still. We don't need to, because Cole performed very well. And then we have Milo, right? Milo Eifler, whatever his name is.
Eifler from Illinois. Yep.
He showed up pretty well. David Mayo.
He's an athlete.
He wasn't good, but he was okay in some spots.
Mayo makes everything better, including our linebacker core.
I know you're trolling me there, but anyway, but I just, you sit there and you kind of think of, you're like, it makes sense that they didn't draft that like they did. To me, it kind of makes sense. Maybe it's just like Corey hoping, praying that God get this right, Ron. God, please get this right. I don't know, but that was just kind of my thinking. Just sitting here is like, maybe that's what they thought. Like,
Yeah.
They don't see something that we don't see. They see something we don't see, right?
This comment. Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
Yeah. No, please don't do that to me, Ron. Okay. I already hate your draft. You're trying to make me hate you like so much if that happens. But anyway, okay. I don't think this guy's a bad player by any means. This guy, when I watched him against Georgia, he did not lose ground like at all, even against double teams, right? Like he is a strong dude that can hold his ground. And basically none of his sacks were I beat the dude immediately off the line with a great pass rush move, and then I got to the quarterback. But that's okay because I respect how much this guy hustles. Talk about a guy that's like a never-ending motor. He will just keep fighting. He runs like this. I don't know if you've seen him play, but he has big, long arms, and he doesn't need to be fast. I just think it's hilarious because he's after the quarterback like this, but because he has like 34 and 5/8 inch arms or something stupid long. So I don't think he's going to be a bad player. I just don't think it's needs. And even if you would like to try to convince me of that whole linebacker deal, Jaquan Brisker is a guy, a position of need, and you brought in, and Bobby McCain is right now slated as the starter, and you have Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne as the starters, and then Bobby McCain. So I feel like there was a clear upgrade there. But anyway,
oh yeah, I agree. Oh, but here I'll tell you this right now.
Yes,
hot take: Phidarian Mathis will be a better interior defense lineman than Jordan Davis.
Ooh. You think he's going to be better than Jordan Davis? Interesting. The athletic freak that went to the Eagles. Now we have to hope that.
Athletic freak? What, in the in the refrigerator bowl?
Jordan Davis?
Yeah, the big boy.
He was like 330 pounds and he ran a 4.78 or something. Oh, yeah. He's about as fast as our tight end.
Yeah.
And almost 80 pounds heavier.
So, I like Cole Turner. I like Cole Turner.
All right, we're going to talk about him for sure. We're going to talk about him for sure. But let's go on to the third round pick here at first. And Brian Robinson Jr. out of Alabama, the running back. He's a 6'1", 225-pound back, supposed to bring the toughness. He is basically a bruiser. That's what he is. To me, he doesn't have great top-end speed. He gets caught from behind. He had one 63-yard touchdown run, but that was against New Mexico State. After that, he had nothing over 40. So he gets caught from behind, definitely at the second level. But we brought him in here to be 2-yard Barber, right? Peyton Barber, but an upgrade over Barber, theoretically. So how did you like this pick coming in at a third rounder? I wanted to run back late, but I don't know about this early. What about you?
I loved it. Okay. I love LOVE. Loved it. It was my second favorite pick of the draft.
Second favorite pick of the draft.
Yes, okay. For us. I loved it because you know what? Yeah. How do you solve a running back's fumbling problems? You get another running back. You
don't solve them. You just go a different direction.
Yeah, well, they're still solving it, right?
You don't solve them. You don't solve them. You solve it. Yeah, you just replace. I got you.
Yeah, you minimize Antonio Gibson, and Antonio Gibson needs to be touching the ball 15, 20 times a game. Maybe 25 on a high. He doesn't need to be touching no ball, right? Especially running 30 times a game. Like that's just not him. He's a wide receiver converted into a running back. Now you bring in a guy physical, like we said, our boy Roger Smith, get physical. 3 downs in a cloud of dust. We're running the wing T here. We're gonna pound it with the fullback and just right across it. Like this is. I like Brian Robinson because the guy is. He's another one, mature captain, right? He spent his time, doesn't have a lot of miles on the tires either because he's set there in Tuscaloosa behind some good talent. So, and we know Bama running backs are pretty good, no matter what offensive line you put it behind. Somebody asked in the comments, like, well, do you think he benefited because of Alabama's offensive line? I was like, Yeah, but Washington's offensive line with you, me, and everybody else we know back there was able to run block pretty well when they gave him opportunity to run. So
Mhm.
I think that Brian Robinson, if he can, he's got quick feet, he's just big physical, and I think that will translate to the NFL. I think he may steal some carries.
Mhm.
If he gets hot enough, he will steal carries from Antonio Gibson, and he's gonna be like, I better get used to holding on that ball a little bit more. But no,
Right.
I loved the Brian Robinson pick, man. I loved it.
Okay. All right. Good.
Mhm.
We see things differently as usual, but it is. But actually, you kind of answered the question. But I did want to just make sure.
Mhm.
Do you think Gibby will maintain the starting role throughout this year after this pick? Or do you think that Brian has a real chance by the end of the year? Not week one. He probably most likely not week one, but by some point this year, of course, if injury, he'll take number one. But
Mhm.
even without injury, do you think he has a chance to take Gibby's spot as the number one back?
Ah,
And if, of
I
course, I
think
guess
there's
chance
always a
is always
chance.
a relevant. Yeah, there's always a chance. But
There's always a chance.
give a
There's always.
percentage. Give a made up percentage on this. Like, what do you think the chances are? Like, is it likely or is it not very likely?
I give it 30-70.
Okay.
I give it
30
30.
he does, 70 he
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, I give it that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Your percentage is a little bit better because
But I also said not injury though. So you
right.
even think without injury that he has maybe a 30% chance.
Yeah, I
Okay.
then I would put that up to about I'd put that probably up to about 60 if that's if he does
If
get
we're
a,
including injured.
yeah, if we
So you
can
think it's
I
likely, okay.
think yeah, because we saw with JD, he's not a runner of the football as well. Jared Patterson, whoever, if he's on the roster or not, he was okay. But I think you're talking about Brian Robinson,
Mhm.
Jared Patterson as the guys who'd be
Oh,
competing who could be a
Robinson's
start.
definitely RB2
Yeah.
coming into the day. And then JD's your exclusive
Mm-hmm.
third down back and maybe out in the slot if
Right.
you want to run a two back system. But yeah, yeah, definitely not he's not coming in as RB3
Mm-hmm.
on this roster. He's definitely RB2 for sure. All right. I would give it lower than that. My estimation would be like less than 15%.
Really?
Like I think Gibby is going to be able to maintain the starting job. He has so many tools. We need to coach him up of being able to how to read the holes. But as you mentioned, he's a converted wide receiver. He's still learning the position. Brian Robinson and company and different running backs have been playing ever since Little League, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you call it, Pop Warner. So I think that Gibby with another year, as long as he hangs on to the football, knock on wood, I think that he will maintain his starting position 85%. Sure on that. All right. Round number 4. And this was the start of day 3. And I will say this right off the gate. I think day 3 was the best day,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So I did like day 3 the most. I don't know about this pick, though. And Chris Sims, of course, talked this guy up a lot in his. He had him as his 5th best safety or free safety in this draft. So Percy Butler out of Louisiana, the Raging Cajun, 6 foot, 194-pound. Is this guy our true safety or is he Apke 2.0? And do you like this pick?
No, because I think that he's not Apke 2.0 because
Okay.
I think I've seen him dislodging balls out of receivers' hands and everything. If you go back and look at some of his tapes, he had some good tackles on people, and I don't think they're hiding what they're trying to do with him either. They said he can be a special teams ace, but I think that there is a possibility, especially with a team that sometimes will run 3 safeties, that he could be a true free safety for this team. And if Bobby McCain, something happens to him, I could really see Percy Butler starting for this team. Now, I think it should be later than sooner, but it addressed the need. This pick, and asking your second question, did I like this pick? Yes, because it addressed the need that they need. That's why I like the pick. And I think the kid's shown on tape that he, because really what got him there is he had a heck of I think it was a pro day. I think his coach was saying that he had a heck of a pro day, put it together to earn that spot up there. I got to see that on the field, though, too, bro. Like, I can't have you taking off plays and everything. You got to go when you're on there.
Yeah, I watched him in the Shrine Bowl, and I was more impressed with him in, like, that slot against running backs.
Mhm.
You know, like, playing up in the box where he's man-to-man up on a running back than I was as a free safety. He seemed to be kind of nervous to come up and make a hit, and it could be that when guys are running at you, it's kind of harder than when you're the gunner on a
Mhm.
punt team, because from my understanding, as a gunner, he has made some waylay of
Yeah.
a hits on punt returners, so it's very scary for them back there. But as far as a free safety, I'm not convinced yet. But this is where I started. I agree. At least now we hit adjust a position of need.
Mhm.
To me, this is the first time we did that. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but we officially drafted a guy that a free safety is a huge need, and this guy plays that. But I think I just lost my train of thought when I said that. But
Welcome to my world.
yeah, it happens to us the best, right? So we'll see. We'll see what this guy gives us, because he did run a 4.36, so he's got tremendous speed. But if you're a true free safety and you have that kind of speed, and people are talking you up as a free safety, and I told you that he only had one interception all season, wouldn't that be surprising to you?
It would be.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And it was an easy pick. I mean, the one pick it was thrown right at him. You know, it's one of those where it's not even like he made a great play on the ball. It was just a terrible throw by the quarterback. So if you could arguably take that away, and you could say he had no interceptions the entire year at Louisiana,
He's
which
like
I thought that
Derek
was interesting.
Forrest. He's like Derek Forrest then. Because I remember I was watching some of Derek Forrest highlights in Cincinnati, and there were balls coming right to him, and he just dropped them. So there you go. You got a guy like that too. So.
Yeah, they play defense for a reason, right? But yeah, I'm not going to hate this pick, because he's a guy that can immediately produce on special teams. So you got a guy that at least can do something right away at a very good level. A lot of people were saying this was the best special teamer in the entire draft. So you addressed a need and you got a special teamer. To me, this is the first pick that I'm like, all right, I could see it. I just don't know about him yet, but I could see it. All right, on to this is a pick that either you absolutely through the roof love or you hate with every fiber of your being. I feel like there's no in between here on Sam Howell. I feel like I gave this one an A++ just to give you an idea of how much I loved this pick. This was my favorite pick. This is the first time we addressed best player available. Sam Howell, quarterback out of UNC, projected second-round pick, third-round pick at worst by pretty much everyone across the board, and I think by our staff as well. They were shocked to see that this guy was available. How'd you feel about Sam Howell coming out in the 5th round?
Steal of the draft.
Woof.
Steal of the draft.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be a candidate for steal of the draft right there.
Yep.
Because you look at what the kid did at UNC. You took away he was out there naked last year, and he was able to produce 800 yards rushing, 3,000 almost 4,000 yards passing. So I mean, what he did without his key weapons when he lost the running backs and the wide receivers and everything, and you look at his body of work, and plus he started out as a true fit, and he's the youngest pick of Washington this year. He's 20. He won't be 22 until like September or something.
Yeah.
So you got a guy who can sit there and learn. I think you absolve a whole lot of pressure off of him. Now, and if he is a bust, if he's a Colt Brennan, you didn't lose anything. It's a fifth round pick. You took a lot of you took a low risk, high reward. I think if you get in there, which here we go again. I said this earlier. Do I trust Zan Peasy and Scott Turner to develop this cat?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like that's the key thing right there. But if he goes out there and plays and we got diamond in the rough, who knows? The guy. I mean, off chance. It's very unlikely. You might have your future quarterback, especially with Carson Wentz on essentially a 1-year deal because he doesn't have any guaranteed money after this year. There you go.
If Carson fails this year, and we end up with a pretty high pick. Let's say another
Mhm.
top 10 pick. Does Washington draft a top tier quarterback, or do they say, "No, we're good. We can now go BPA because we already got our quarterback of the future in Sam Howell"? Or do you think if it is this situation, the likelihood is we still go ahead and draft a top 10 quarterback next year?
I think they'd still draft a quarterback though.
Okay. All right. So not that much confidence in Sam
Yeah,
Howell.
yeah. Because I don't think he's gonna see the field this year. Like
Yeah.
man, he goes out here and like Heineke's hurt, Wentz is hurt. He goes out here and balls out in
Mhm.
a couple of games. Looks like a Davis Mills type, right?
Mhm.
Way Davis Mills came out of nowhere. Then
Mhm.
and maybe there's something you want to think about. And honestly, if we're picking that high, it's a new regime. It's going to depend on what they're looking for.
True. That's a great point. Because yeah, if we are in the top 10 range again, that's
Mm-hmm.
even less than 7 wins going into the third
Yeah.
year. And we also have a weaker schedule according to record wise. I know somebody in the chat said they don't think the schedule is going to be as easy as people think, but that's still that's how it always is, right? You never know exactly what the schedule's like, but still, you don't have the first place schedule anymore. So you're not going against the Rodgers, Brady, Justin
Mm-hmm.
Herbert, Josh Allen, Hall that you had to go through last year. You're going through a much better one. But okay, there's some interesting stuff on the Sam Howell pick because he apparently also had the second highest Wonderlic score
Yeah.
out of the quarterbacks this year at 34. Bailey Zapp went to the Patriots. He had a 35. I love that. And that's exactly the kind of guy you want to be your backup, right? Somebody that can soak in information, a high IQ individual. And I think that's a great part about this pick as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, do you believe this? And apparently, there's somebody that corroborates it. He says that he wanted to be in Washington the whole time. Nobody wants to be in Washington at all throughout the world, right? Except for, a diehard fan. And I don't know, maybe he was. But apparently, I actually watched the Rio with Rambling with Josh Taylor, the breakdown of the draft,
Mm-hmm.
and he met Sam Howell
Yeah.
in person, and he corroborated that he wanted to be here in the whole time. And are you shocked that there was actually a player in the draft that is excited to come here and for Washington that doesn't play in, like the direct DMV area?
Yeah. I mean, no, not really, because
Okay.
the opportunity. There's familiarity there with De'Ami Brown. So if
Mhm.
you have one of your boys in a certain area, it doesn't really surprise me as much. Yeah, but in Josh, I remember when Josh went down to the Senior Bowl, and
Mhm.
that was one of the first interviews that he got one-on-one with
Mhm.
Sam Howell and talked with him and everything. I said there, and I'm sitting there watching, like I said, there's no chance in the world that this is going to happen.
Mhm.
And I mean, as you kind of watch it and went on, you're like, wow. I honestly still thought we had a shot at Malik Willis until the Titans took. I was
Yeah.
like, if he's still hanging around, Washington's gonna take him.
Yeah.
I am surprised that that everybody's favorite quarterback, Carson Strong, went undrafted.
You're surprised? For real?
Oh yeah, I'm very surprised because he's supposed to be this elite talent with a great arm and everything. So
He had the best Senior Bowl. Did you hear?
yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Senior
not.
Bowl with them granddaddy knees, but all right, let me
Granddaddy
stop.
knee.
Let me stop. Let me leave the young man alone.
Oh man, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But I'm glad
Mhm.
we've finally, I feel like, have a pick that we agree on. We had to get to the fifth round, to the fifth
Yeah.
pick of the draft, but we agree on one. So let's stop that immediately. Now let's go on to Cole Turner. You loved last year's tight end in John Bates. You were a big fan of John Bates
Yes.
coming out, and now we draft another tight end. Do you feel the same?
I don't. John Bates is my boy.
Okay.
Like that. That's my boy. I can't have somebody before John Bates. Now, Cole Spencer though, converted wide receiver to tight end. He ran a lineman's 40.
4.76.
But he can what is it, 6'7", right? 6'7", 240 some pounds, and he can catch the ball. He's a pass
Mhm.
catcher. Not Cole. Carson loves tight ends, man.
He does.
He loves tight ends. And Cole Spencer is probably the type of guy that he wants to throw to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't overthrow him.
Cole Turner.
Right?
Cole Turner.
Cole Turner. I can't give him a Cole Spencer.
It's so good.
He is a guy that you can't outthrow. He's got that big body. Mm-hmm. I know he's had maybe a little issues with the drops, but if this guy comes, if you got John Bates coming back, Samus Reyes, he jumps off, and then Cole Turner jumping off too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Logan Thomas can take his time coming back, man. He may be in trouble, but I think you're gonna need to develop the young man. Mm-hmm. And where I do have concerns is it's not Pete Hainer anymore. It's Juan Castillo. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Pete Hainer is just like John Matsko. Like, they can whisper, and the guys in their position group are going to succeed.
Yeah.
On paper, I love it. I love it. I wanted James Mitchell, although he went to Detroit. I thought because you can pin him and place him anywhere you want to. But 6'7".
Yeah, he's definitely a red zone target. And that's where a majority of his touchdowns, I think he had 12 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, he had 10.
Or 10, okay. A majority of the touchdowns definitely came in the red zone. And he's a big body dude. And I do still like the joke that Rio made of Jay Gruden is, salivating at the opportunity to throw a fade route in the end zone to this kid right here. So he's a 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", somewhere in there. And he does have a highlight reel of coming down with that football with multiple guys around him. But you mentioned it, and I saw this on tape when I studied strong, that he has the case of the drops.
Yep.
And he's not a guy that's going to beat a ton of people one-on-one. The only way he's going to beat you one-on-one is if he just climbs the ladder and goes over top of you. He's a zone beater, and I don't think he's going to be very interesting between the 20s, in my opinion. But inside the 20, considering the only other guy that's even close to him is Cam Sims in size, right? I guess John Bates is also 6'5", but you get the idea. As far as wide receivers go, we're going to line him out wide a few times this year. He will get red zone opportunities, not just on the line of scrimmage, out wide. So it's going to be interesting if he could bring those down at the NFL level. And if you get the right matchup, if they send a safety out there to guard him instead of a bigger linebacker, this could be extremely dangerous for the opposing teams. Mm-hmm. And I do like that part about Cole Turner. All right. I heard Rodgers ran a 4.41.
Talking about Armani Rodgers.
Armani Rodgers is also another interesting guy, but again, he would be a receiving tight end instead of an all-around tight end.
Shout out Bobcats.
Yep. 6'5", 233. So we can have Logan 2.0 maybe on the roster, but I didn't look too much into the UDFAs. I respect that Louis T said, "Don't even ask me about UDFAs. Don't come at me about UDFAs. Like, if 32 teams passed on you 7 times, I'm good. I'm good on you." Right. And we'll address those if they do pop up in camp or preseason, where all of a sudden now we have to okay, wait, maybe this guy actually has a chance. All right. On to the 7th rounders. And we talked about, or Mayhew and Rod talked about that this is the deepest draft in a long time because of the COVID year, people coming back and now graduating. I thought we actually got 2 very interesting 7th round picks here, starting with Chris Paul, the 7th. You heard about his R&B career. He's a legit singer.
Wow.
I don't know if I liked it. I went and YouTubed it before the show. It's called something Mother Nature or something along those lines. And it's an R&B song with a legit music video. They did it good. They did it well. It's his first one that just dropped 9 days ago. He did it right before the draft. And I think we actually drafted the best at something in the draft, and that's singing.
Oh, Tim, stop. Stop. Don't be disrespectful like that. Don't be disrespectful like that. That's pretty good, but that's a good one. You got to pat yourself on the shoulder for that. That was pretty good. That was a good setup.
Yep. So, all right, Chris Paul, the 7th. What do you think?
L.
L?
Well, I said well. I didn't say L.
I thought you said L.
No. I didn't say L.
Funny.
No. I mean,
it's a 7th, right?
It's a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
He's a guard. You get guards by the dozen, right?
Mhm.
So if he's halfway functional, I think he could be in there and be a good backup. From the stuff that I did read about him, apparently he's a high character guy.
That's a
He's on
given when Ron drafts you, though, right?
right.
That's just a given.
Well, I didn't see any military in his background, but
Oh wow, I'm shocked.
yeah,
That is surprising.
I think he's like on the NCAA's student athlete diversity committee or something like that. But
I saw you had a video about mental health. So
yeah,
he takes that seriously. Yep.
Yeah. So he just he seems like he's a good young man, outstanding a good citizen. I read on the NFL.com thing, they said he might not be the best player, but he's somebody you definitely want in your locker room. So
yeah,
I think that's a good enough praise right there. So
I didn't hear about that. So that's definitely a good addition here. I did go and watch him against Ohio State, and he was playing tackle at the time. So I haven't watched him play guard yet. And based on what they asked him to do, I have no clue if he can translate to guard based off what I've seen. But as a tackle, there's an argument he played better against Ohio State than his counterpart, Tyler Smith, that went in the first round to the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I was pretty surprised. Like, Tyler Smith had a holding call against him. Like, he was not looking as strong as Chris Paul, not 3, the 7th. It's really good. And I gave this pick an A. So I was very happy with, of course, it's a 7th round pick. So it's take it with a grain of salt, right? A 7th rounder is only going to do so much for you, but it's still not a bad value, and there could be some potential there. And then the last one, Christian Holmes, corner out of Oklahoma State. What'd you hear on this guy? Anything?
6'4", 210 or something like. He's a big boy.
Not what I saw. I only saw 6'1".
6'1". I thought he was big. Okay, I'm thinking somebody else.
No, you're fine.
Okay, but he was a big kid. I didn't hear that much out of him. I know he's an older guy. I think he's like 25 or something. So, it just kind of suits to Ron's thing of this draft is they got older, they got more mature.
I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised that this guy played in the Big 12 and PFF has no grade on him.
I
don't know if that tells you something. It's interesting because he's a wild card in that sense of and I watched him against Oklahoma. I think he's a great scheme fit is what I saw because he played a lot of zone, and that's what Jack Del Rio likes to do is a lot of zone. And we put William Jackson out of position because he likes to play man. But I thought this was a good scheme fit for a Jack Del Rio, and he's tough in the run game. So I was pleased with. He's got good size at 6'1", 205. He's a stocky dude that's not afraid to come up and lay a hit. And he did have one interception where he jumped a slant. He was jamming the dude up the whole time, and the guy threw and he jumped over top of him, juggled it a little bit, but came down with it. And then he got up and ran it with it as if he was in the NFL. Can't do that in college. I don't know if he knows that, but that was the first time he got the ball probably. And so he was just so excited to run. But again, I gave this one an A. And somebody said in here, Kalen Meeks, I value 7ths. Yeah, and I gave when we drafted Cameron Curl, I'm pretty sure I gave that pick a D. Like, I was not impressed at all with Cameron Curl. So what do I know about secondary players? And maybe. Was there any of the UDFAs that you drew interest in at all?
Cole Kelly, the quarterback.
Cole Kelly. I was literally just looking at highlights. I literally have.
Did you see where he hurdled? He hurdled?
No, I didn't finish it.
That dude.
But I literally have his highlights on right now. As you were coming in, I was looking into him right now.
Oh man,
but that's funny. But
he hurdled a DB, a linebacker. I can't remember what it was, but he he's fleet of foot for somebody that big, man. Like, this is a dude. The first thing I said when I saw tight end, this guy could be a tight end. Like, he's just got he's big. He's got a little speed to him. I don't know if he can catch.
Yeah.
Now I know he's had some issues or something like that because he used to be at Arkansas for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I like Cole Kelly though, man. I really did. And I was like, this guy's fun to watch. He'll sling it.
Yeah.
He
Who has a
threw
better chance of starting, Sam Howell or Cole Kelly?
Oh, definitely
No.
Sam Howell. He had a pretty he threw a pretty ball at the senior not senior at the combine. I think I think he was at the combine.
Was he at the combine?
I think he was.
Maybe, I don't know.
But he just like it's got a nice little art to it, and but
have you heard about Hodges?
No, I have not.
So I haven't looked up anything about him as far as a talent. I have no clue if the kid can play or not. But he's 6'8" tight end.
Good God.
Yeah, like 250 again. 6'8" tight end. So he's another one that may be some interesting. We also signed like 3 or 4 linebackers. I think they're all trash. I don't see them doing anything, but we'll cross our fingers, but they're UDFAs for a reason. So the last question I have for here, and if you guys in the chat, if you guys have any questions, you can definitely give us some questions here before we round out the show. But the last question I have for you is overall grade for this class. What do you I know you said that you hate to grade these things, but I still just want to hear what's your, based on what you know about these players, and you could be completely wrong. Don't even qualify it. Just give me how do you feel this draft went?
B minus C plus.
B minus C plus. Okay. Interesting. I feel like you liked a lot of the picks. So
I do.
What's with the little bit lower grade, I guess?
I mean, C's get degrees, so do B's, right?
Yeah.
Like I go in. Sometimes you go into the test, right, and you're like, "Oh, I felt really good. I like that. I like that. Ooh, crap, I got them wrong, right?" Yeah. So I just think that it's a good barometer because we said like Phidarian Mathis. I like Phidarian Mathis. I want to see him rock and roll out here, but I'm also understanding that you probably could have caught him in round 3, right?
Potentially.
You could have, yeah, possibly. The Jahan Dotson pick at first. I mean, there's a lot of potential here. That's why I put it more of a B minus, right? There's potential to grow.
But you think we reached on a couple of picks, even though you like the player, maybe, but we reached. So it's hard to give an A if you're reaching at, or even a high B plus.
Yeah.
If you feel as though they're reaching for sure. Roger, of course, gave it a B plus. Come on, power. We got to stuff the run, and we got to run the football.
Y'all realize this? We got Roger back on board now. Like you see what a draft just did. Like we took 2 of his Alabama boys. He back on. He's back on it now. You got the only thing he can debate about is fullbacks in the Discord now. So our boy is back in the fold. We might get him in some commander gear now at this guy.
Yeah. Washington Command Center likes Trey Walker. I'll have to look at a little bit more into him or not. We'll see. There's definitely spots on this team for an UDFA to make it. But we haven't signed anybody to my knowledge. The only guy that I saw that we signed that's kind of interesting that's not is, of course, another former Panther, Trey Turner.
Good pickup.
Yeah, you like that? Former 5-time Pro Bowler. Now he's becoming a little bit of journeyman, but he's not that old. He's not even 29 years old yet. So still some miles in the tank potentially. So, but you say great pickup.
I think it's a good pickup. I really do think. I didn't say great. I said good pickup.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
Good pickup. Don't want to say. Don't want to say.
Of course, this is a great pickup. I'm like, no, good pickup. I mean, because basically what you're doing is you're reuniting somebody who's familiar with John Matsko. It would not surprise me if Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner were your starting guards come week 1. Like it just would not surprise me. Chase Roulier is back there, healthy. Charles Leno, and then you got Cosby coming back there, who hopefully will be healthy. Tim, you got a making of a good. I think you have a making of a good functional line because you have a lot of average to slightly above average players. You might not have the elite guys, but sometimes it's all about cohesion, right? So I think I that's why I like this Trey Turner pickup because you said 5 Pro Bowls, although they don't mean anything. but it really Pro Bowls are probably one of the key barometers when you talk about offensive linemen being pretty good and everything. So there you go.
Yeah, I wanted to award John Matsko with a great player. I wanted to give him a first round pick. Like I would have loved to give him Trevor Penning, a 6'7", 330-pound monster that can move, and we could be looking at a Hall of Famer. You know, not a good offensive line. You kick kick Sam Cosmi inside, and we could be looking at the best right side of an offensive line ever with that kind of a coach, right? When you combine the great coach with a supreme talent, that's when gold's produced, right? So I wish we did that, but we didn't. Of course, hindsight, it is what it is. That's also what I'm trying not to do. I'm not trying to live in hindsight. That's why I'm giving my opinions now, and strong opinion of how I feel at this point. So later, when somebody's like, oh, you didn't know, it's like, no, I was saying at the time of the draft how I felt, what I thought we should do, and you can go back and look. I said that. Right. Or it can come back to bite me, which I would love it. I would love to come back and bite me. If Washington does well, great. Perfect. Phidarian Mathis becomes Aaron Donald 2.0. Jahan Dotson's Antonio Brown without the crazy. Brian Robinson turns into Nick Chubb. Like it's if these guys all of a sudden hit home runs, I love it. Right.
There you go.
I just right now I don't see it. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Sweet. You guys are commenting a lot. I just don't see questions, but a lot of comments, which I appreciate all of you. Hey, Ron is the one talking about big boy football. You'll know I love that. Really don't think Mathis made it to round 3. There weren't really any other D tackles in the draft that do what he does at this level. We'll see. We'll never see that. We'll never know. It is what it is now. He's here. Turner was terrible at LA, but he started to return to old form in Pittsburgh. So I got high hopes for him. Okay. Interesting. Who is our biggest threat in the division?
Ourselves, because we got to get back to that point.
Yeah.
Ourselves. That's
deep philosophical Corey right here.
I mean,
really put thought to it.
The Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants. I mean, in that order, those are your competition, because the baseline is the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles may have superseded them, getting AJ Brown in that draft, and then you added big old Jordan Davis in there and the Kobe Dean. If he's healthy, they could maybe have won the draft like that. But you got a sophomore.
But then the trade with AJ Brown with just to go with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's what I'm talking about. Like you added right there. You've got the key thing is this is all on Jalen Hurts this year. He has no excuse now. They've got to. The pressure is on them to win the division, I think, more than anything. Because Dallas, for all intents and purposes, doesn't look like they had the best draft. People still think we're a joke. Brian Daboll is getting his feet wet in New York. So I mean, it looks like it's Philly, right? Like if you're kind of looking at it right now, Philly's got to be the team that's going to rise up in this division and be the one that's worth battling. And we played them pretty close with what's eating Gilbert Grape and the COVID boys that game. And then if John Bates gets flagged for getting offended on the pass interference, we might be talking about, hey, we won that game. So
yeah, we definitely competed with that COVID team. It was pretty wild. I think that the biggest competition, I do see what you're saying with ourselves, because we have to get out of our own way. I would have to say, as we sit today, I like the Eagles as well. I think the Eagles are the number one. They've added a ton of talent to that team, and their coach is sneaky, a pretty good coach, I think. He had the memes out of that initial press conference that you're like, oh my gosh, we have smart coaches with smart systems, and we're going to be smart, and we're just smart with smart systems, and smart because we're smart. And you're just like, are you an idiot? Like, after all that smart talk, I feel like you're a moron. But he got his team together. They weren't supposed to be very good, and they somehow squeaked into the playoffs towards the end, and good for them. So as we sit right now, I would say the Eagles. And of course, you have to mention Dallas because until Carson Wentz shows that he can be an MVP candidate again, they have the number one quarterback in the division. So you got to always be concerned about that, even though they have lost a lot of talent. Lyman in round one, y'all then complain why. Well, I know a lot of people would have hated that pick because it's not a sexy pick. It's not an interesting pick, but tackles are basically first and second round picks. That's where you get tackles. You know, you could try to go ahead and get a fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round tackle. The likelihood of them actually being your starter is extremely low amplified compared to other positions, right? You can get a fourth round receiver and he turns into a really good player for you, or fourth round running back and he turns into Alvin Kamara. Tackles usually come in the early rounds. That's why I wanted, and I already said the John Matsko thing. Would you have hated a lineman in round one?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have been a big. I wouldn't have been a fan of it, but I initially, like, it just sometimes you just got to be brought around to it. I just didn't see, the need for one at that point. But to another point, right? People were talking about Jahan Dotson. He's like, this isn't a place that's gonna sell. That's not a name that's gonna sell tickets. Kyle Hamilton will sold tickets. I'm like, y'all. The only thing at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your name is Jahan Dotson. Thank you, Tim. Exactly. You got to win. That will sell tickets. That is the greatest thing that will sell tickets is the fact that if you win, it don't matter if you win it with Aunt Jemima or Jahan Dotson. It don't matter. If you win it with those cats,
the
tickets will sell themselves. They make it easy.
Right. All that being said, I think if you drafted Malik Willis round one, I think that would have sold some extra tickets.
Oh, yeah. Everybody, people in here. Oh, Malik Willis, we got Malik.
Oh, they would have been so. Oh my gosh, that we would have had the next, Peyton Manning.
It would have been
Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, all into one player somehow. That would have been a high on the hog, right? I think Robinson can start using AG more as a pass catching weapon. Robinson will eat in Gibby's carries, but Gibby is going to eat into JD's catches. I don't know if Gibby is the pass protector either that JD is, though. Because isn't that that's almost as much the moneymaker as JD is his pass protection on third downs as is his pass catching ability.
And Robinson's not, I don't think he's he's not a pass blocker either. So
True. Right. The Eagles are smart because they run it first a lot. They smash mouth you. And a QB that isn't good at passing into the zone coverages and play good defense. There you go. That's the ticket, right? All right. A new stadium will sell tickets too. That's
bingo.
5 years. 5 years, we should have a new stadium. In a year or two.
Just put turf on the stadium. Like just instead of this natural grass, just put damn turf on it and get over with.
Dude, didn't they send a picture of the field and it's supposed to be like, oh yeah, new field, and it looks like a practice field. I mean, there's gaps in the grass and just dirt patches, and you're like,
I said that. I was like, what are y'all doing? I said, y'all gonna sod that before they come on the field like when we like when they redid the field, so their first game we went up, not first game, but the first when they had that fan event up there, they're like, please do not get on the playing surface. This is new playing surface. Very good surface. I'm like, what? I said, what is wrong with y'all? Like, just go ahead and I'm like, just get turf and it's easier to deal with. You don't have to worry about the drainage and clodding and resodding. You just have to worry about getting the pebbles out or the rubber pellets out of it.
Yeah. But don't a lot of people not like turf? I don't know. A lot of players. What do they prefer? I don't know. I guess I would take whatever the prefers player. Whatever the players prefer, I'll do that. Dotson can be Antonio Brown with Terry's personality. That's the comp. I mean, that's the ceiling.
That's what I want.
That's the comp ceiling is Antonio Brown, a very shifty wide receiver, 5'10", very small, but can go up and go get it. Tremendous hands, outsmarts the defense. There's something to be said about that comp for sure. Turf, you get more injuries. I mean, we don't
We're
have
gonna get
turf
more
league.
injuries. How many more injuries you gonna have at FedEx Field? How many injuries we gonna get? I mean, yeah, like
When you go there, you have to protect your fibulas, right? Protect your
yes.
fibulas.
My gosh.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys,
Yeah.
everybody. So you have no. Go ahead.
I
Last
just
thing.
say, I mean, hey, we'll figure it out as we go, I reckon.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for Corey. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Corey, tell them where they can find you.
On the Warpath, we will be on. It won't be Wednesday. It'll probably be Thursday. Going to do Chain of Command, or we'll do a draft recap on Thursday. So y'all stay tuned there. Check us out.
Who do you
Gonna
coming
have.
on?
I don't have anybody just yet. I'm trying to figure that out. But Tim, what are you? I know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Take
Tim,
5 in 3 weeks.
Yeah. There we go. Let's just make it happen. So
you can ask me the questions now.
It was like, well, I did ask you a couple questions on here. So
it's good.
Yeah, but we'll have it on there. I got my draft videos for the first 5 rounds, and then I burnt out because the draft is like a marathon in its own. So you can go back and check my initial thoughts and crucify my Jahan Dotson take originally. So
hey, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for coming on, Corey. Thank you very much for being in the chat. It was a lot of fun. I got a bunch of people coming on here in the next couple of weeks. And so tomorrow we have Street Scores coming on at 8:30. So make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe to this channel so you can hear his thoughts over here, and we'll go back and forth with me and him. Me and him can agree on a lot of things, but I'm sure we may be able to find some disagreement as well. So that'll be fun. We have Ref the District, all of those guys coming on Thursday, all 3 of them.
Oh, so, Lord.
Yeah, we'll have those guys. Yeah, Trev, Stoner, and Nathan will come on and talk some draft. They were there at the stadium. They had media passes, so we'll talk to them about how that experience went, as well as their thoughts on the draft. So a lot of content coming up, and then we have other guys lined up for next week as well. So it should be fun, and make sure you hit the subscription and notification, and hit the like on this video. If you did, appreciate it. And any last words there, Corey?
See you.
And until next time. See ya!